Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast where we try to figure it all out with your hosts, Brandon and Collin. On this week's show, golf cart with a kernel in it.
Ahoy!
How are you?
I'm good.
Am I very low? Can you hear me at all? Hello?
There you
Okay.
go. There's better. I was getting ready to say that. I was like, I think I couldn't hear him.
Okay.
He's ahoying from very far away. I can't.
I'm all sorts of. I had this terrible hissing going on, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and one of my knobs was turned. So we were all good. So I was turning stuff down, and I realized I turned the wrong one back up. So I don't know what's going on.
That'll do it. That will do it.
Turns out every time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, goodness. How much rain did you guys get?
A fair bit, I would say. I don't really know 100%, but it was quite a bit. Well. In the last week, we've gotten quite a fair bit, I suppose. Trying to think when the last time I actually talked to you was. Been a minute,
sorry.
so.
Yeah.
All right, and no worries. I've just throws me off here. So yeah, the other day, earlier, just last couple of days, it rained quite a bit. Like yesterday. Is it yesterday? What is today? Saturday. Right. Yes. Yesterday morning, it did rain quite a lot. There was even a wee bit of hail mixed in there.
Oh,
just a little tiny, little tiny bit. They were very small hails, but yeah, we had some hail in there. So yeah, and last week, yes, because the last time I talked to you was right before the 4th of July, right? Is that accurate? Okay,
indeed.
And so, it rained like on the 4th, right? It's really, we were getting ready to go to the park to watch the city fireworks, and we were like, I wonder what time we should go over there. Thunder. Like, maybe. And then text from the city. This evening's fireworks have been canceled due to weather.
Oh no.
So they just did it like the next night, right? But
yeah,
it was just really, it was, the timing of it was so hilarious. We're like, all right, we should probably get ready to go. Or not. I guess we can
but never mind.
Yeah, so it was kind of a weird. The timing was just funny, right? So, but it was fine. It was all right. The next night was good. We big news on the firework front.
Oh,
we went and sat in a different spot. Oh man. I know this is big news for people like me who just do the same thing over and over again in perpetuity, right? So changing the fireworks spot, kind of a big deal, right?
How? What made the change? What was
right.
this all
Two
about?
reasons, right? Two reasons. One was I don't think they had mowed the ditch in quite a while. And so normally what we do is we park on the highway and then hop over onto the golf course and just go over there. But the ditch to get to it's very steep anyway, very precipitous to get down there. And the grass appeared to be approximately 4 feet tall. So we saw that and went, like we saw that earlier in the week and we were like, oh no. And so we've been, like I said, we've been going to the park and like walking / slight running. It's been kind of weird. It's weird. But anyway, and so like down by like the soccer field, there's just like this big, huge open field of nothingness. We're like, I wonder if people come and watch fireworks down here.
Wait a minute. What's all this?
There's like 3 little parking lots. And then you can just go sit on the soccer field.
Oh. Turns
out, just a few people go to watch fireworks down there. So, that's where we went this time.
Found a new... So is this going to be the new spot? Do you think that the city intentionally didn't mow to keep people from using the ditch?
Maybe. But I don't know. Yeah. So here's the question, right? That has to be, unfortunately, has to wait like a full year to be answered, right? Was was it not very crowded down in that location because not a lot of people go there, or because it was not the actual day of the celebration? It had been delayed from the previous day and less people were there in general.
Oh no.
Right. So this is the question I don't have the answer to, right? Like, was it just like very easily accessible because it's always that way?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it because a lot of people weren't there because they were doing other stuff because it got canceled the day before? And it was like the Food Truck Friday thing that night. So a lot of people were downtown, right? We were downtown and then came over to the park. I don't know if anybody else did that. I don't know if a lot of people stayed downtown and just watched the big fireworks from there.
Sure.
I don't know. So we have some questions to be answered there, but like, so it was good this time. So we'll see if this is a repeatable.
Yeah,
if this is a repeatable event, right?
Unfortunately, not one that you can get a large sample size on very quickly, is it?
Yeah, it's going to take a long way. But it is infinity where our work are deployed, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
like it's close, so you can see them better, right? You still can't see a lot of the ground fireworks stuff because it's behind some trees, but it's a lot closer to the other stuff, which is kind of cool. That's fun, right? So there's that. We'll see. We'll see how I go from here, but we have made a slight change in the 4th of July scheduled programming.
And so, other than the fact that it just because it was available, how were the viewing angles? Did you feel like it was adequate for what you were wanting from this?
Oh yeah, it was nice. I mean, like you said, you could see the stuff. You could actually see some of the ground show, lots of it, right?
Oh.
So not all of it. You didn't get the full effect, but a lot of the fireworks were much more directly overhead. So that's good for viewing, right? It's more fireworky, I guess. I don't know. So it was pretty good. It was nice. It was actually a really cool evening too. It was kind of like, oh man, I should have brought a blanket or something out here. It's cold out here. It was strange. In the world. This week is made up for. It's like, haha, loser. Now it's 7,000 degrees.
Well, yeah. After Beryl moved through, the heat came back in with it because it was like there was a time last week where it's like, oh, it's 64 degrees this morning. Oof, this is chilly. Like, this is weird. And then now it's just hot.
It was really weird.
It's really hot. Well, we went to the Marshfield parade, 4th of July parade. Right. 4th year running for us. And gotta be real, I'm still surprised by the people who attend this parade. It's an election year, so all of your state and federal representatives were there.
Marshfield.
At Marshfield.
It is the county. It is the county.
The county seat, right?
There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
But you're like, it's very interesting to see, like, oh no, you're a sitting senator, right? And like, what are you? Why are you here? Like, this isn't that weird? Is that weird to anybody else? Why they're here? But
makes them seem rootsy,
right? Small town.
It's the show of like, oh no, I care about the people. They don't. Spoilers. They don't care about the people. But they're here to make you think they do. And then they'll go back and pass all the laws that are good for the corporations and their friends. So they pull the old switcheroo on you.
Not to be political, but no. And so, we were like, the way Megan.
Sorry, I've been reading too much Mark Twain, right? It's kind of
I think it's good. Of course, Megan was like, ask them if they have a pamphlet. And I'm like, you're not voting for that person. Why would you ask them? I want to see what they do.
Yeah. We don't live here. Why do you care?
She's like, I just want to know. So, they'd be passing out candy or cups or pins or whatever. And I was in the back, like, do you have some literature about your candidate?
They didn't bring that. They don't want to inform you. They want to give you a sucker. And
literally
an American flag pin, right? That's what they want to do.
I've never seen
awkwardly, but
if you really want to feel just this, like what it's like to be like the machine that is American politics, go to one of these events and literally have the candidate throwing candy at people. I've never seen a more perfect picture of what politics is actually like. Of here, let me throw you this 11-cent Tootsie Roll, and that will mean that you like me and you remember me. And I'm just like, and everyone, there are people who are like really excited, and this was a big deal, and they like thought it was cool that they were actually throwing the candy. I'm like, oh, it works, and that's the scary part. It actually works on people.
Oh man! So I got to remember for our first meet and greet, Tootsie Rolls. That's the move, right? We got to get some.
Yes. Oh, you want to just like my.
Oh. It's really weird. That's a weird. It's interesting, you brother. So you experienced that part of the weirdness that is 4th of July, right? The American patriotic machine in motion, right? The part that I witnessed is the part where people don't think their plan through, right? So here's what happens. People will go and then they will go to the one of, I don't know, 27 stands on the side of the road that sell explosives, right? And then they will come to, I don't know, a city park in a parking lot full of people and just begin to light off explosives in the presence of other people, just haphazardly, right? Like no real care about the other people that are there, right? Like, oh, did you want bombs to be going off by your head? Too bad, loser. It's like somebody set off some fireworks on the road and like multiple cars had to stop because things were just like exploding on the road.
Oh, no.
Like,
don't do that.
That's illegal. You can't do that.
No.
You're not supposed to be lighting off fireworks in a certain proximity of roads, right? That's not how it's supposed to work. But yeah, this is the other thing. Like, this is the celebration of American freedom. Sometimes is like I'm free to do whatever I want at everyone else's expense. That's what some people mean by that, and it hurts me a little bit. Like, that's not. Why would you do that? Why are you setting off bombs in a parking lot? Stop it.
I was shocked this year by the amount of fireworks going off on the actual 4th of July. I think last year there were more days of fireworks, but I think this year was all concentrated. I think that's just because of how it fell during the week. It was it was like a Thursday. Yeah. So I think this is why. But so I was out doing visits on the night of the 4th.
I bet the dogs and cats just love that, right? I mean, is that just like the greatest? Did you have to wear like Kevlar arm sleeves?
We actually did have a dog who was so uncontrollable it pinned one of our girls in a hallway. And
no.
It was so on edge, and it was a Great Dane, and the owner ended up having to leave their campsite and drive 45 minutes over to get the dog.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's great. But I've never felt like I was driving around and actively being shelled, as far as, because usually you're like, oh, they're over there. But this year it was like, oh no, you're right here. Like, you're literally on a sidewalk. Nobody did it in the roads for us, which was nice. But
that is nice.
Like I'm at a visit, and people in the backyard, again, in the city, within city limits, okay, full on mortars, not just like ground stuff, but like like
good grief,
just on the other side of the fence, 120 yards away, and then all 3 neighbors on some of these houses, everyone in the backyard are shooting off these things. I'm like, what? It was not fun for a lot of us.
Crazy.
For a lot of things. It wasn't like that last year, so I think it was just this pent up like, oh, I can't do it on a Wednesday night, so I gotta wait till Thursday.
I don't know. I feel like this year there wasn't a lot of I think everybody just saved it. right? Because a lot of times what happens is these stands open up at like the early part of June, right? And then you like slowly have, you just slowly kind of hear some fireworks the whole time, right? But this year, at least where I live, it felt like everybody waited until like the week of the 4th of July to like shoot them all off, right?
Yeah.
And it was that we had them going until like Sunday, Monday, maybe. I don't know. Like they were still going quite a long way afterwards. But like several days after. Usually it's like all the before. And then this time it was like, and also after too, by the way, which was weird. Like, and there was a lot. And it was like, this one night it was like 12:30. And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, what are you doing? Why? Again, it was raining on the 4th. So I'll give you the 5th and the 6th. Okay, but it's now the 8th. You need to stop. Like, that's why?
Enough. Yeah, well, for us, all of the late night, like on the 4th, everybody who shot fireworks around 8 or 9, it was totally fine. But then, yes, by 10 o'clock, the storms had rolled in. So we went from concussions of mortar shells to the thunder and the lightning and the storm. So it's like, no, dogs and cats didn't get a break. It was lots of, I was like, oh, great. Well, good news was the fireworks didn't go all night. Bad news was massive thunderstorms. And
no, we had people out shooting fireworks in rain. Morons.
Oh, yes.
Out here, we did. We had people out here. I still heard them. Like, what? Guys, it's thundering outside. Like, yeah, with the sound of my freedom, man. Like, what are you doing? Stop it.
Conveniently, also the name
actively heavily raining on you. Like, if that fuse goes off, you go stick your head in there. You're going to explode your cranium. That is not what we want. Okay, that is not good. So you may have the freedom to do that, but you don't have the freedom to be able to afford healthcare. So maybe don't.
Now remember, when you remember, as you're buying your mortars and your fireworks, that healthcare is not free. So have fun with that in mind.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was interesting. Another interesting year. So yeah, we survived. We shot off a few things, mostly little stuff. A lot of sparklers and the whatnots. So
poppers,
lots of poppers,
the snapdragon things or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but like, yeah,
lots of those, lots of little fountains, those kind of things. And we had two children with very different personalities, and one of them anointed themselves leader and grand poobah of all firework festivities.
Let's see which one
took charge right away.
Okay,
would read off everything to announce what it was going to be.
Oh, lovely.
And it'd be like, green flames with sparkle and loud bangs. Okay, thank you.
Incoming.
Incoming.
Yeah, no surprises for you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen.
And definitely
no mystery here.
With the fountains, started to get a little comfortable of like setting off multiple at a time.
Oh yeah,
lighting them up and then going down the road, going, then running over to the next one and go, so that you have 3 or 4 going off simultaneously. Oh my. It was fantastic.
Cascading fountains.
It was
like the Bellagio.
Meanwhile, the other one just sat there with the earmuffs on next to Megan, going, just wanted to watch.
It's like, okay, to do.
It's
very fun. Hooray!
It was really funny.
That's pretty great.
Just like bifurcated and grand announcements and so we did do that. We stayed up a little later than we normally do to shoot off some of those things, and
it's gotta be dark. right?
Yeah,
You can't.
yeah,
It's got to be. You have to have some darkness, otherwise, it's it does lose some appeal, right?
yeah. We had our favorite one this year, at least mine, was this uh ladybug, and it just had a fuse on it, and you lit the fuse, and you're like, oh, what's a ladybug going to do? Well, like it's one of those things of what, a lot of aerodynamics can be overcome with just more thrust. Because here's
That's
just
true. Yeah,
it's just this
that's the firework
round,
way.
not aerodynamic thing at all. And all of a sudden, it starts spinning at 1,000,000,000 miles an hour, and then shoots straight up in the air, showering sparks down as it goes up. It turns green, and you're like, "Holy, what happened? That was unexpected." Okay, so that was my favorite, just because you're like, oh, these other ones where they have the spinny ones, where you light and they've got like the actual blades on them where they're going to spin up.
Oh yeah,
right. You light them and they go, and they turn a color and they don't explode or anything. They just kind of shoot straight up. Well, we bought one that was big. And it was a 2-stager, so it went and shot like way high. But these other ones just look like a standard firecracker. Not an M80 or anything, but something way smaller than that. It just looked like that. A little cardboard, little tiny tube, no bigger around than a pencil. And those things also would spin and go way high in the air. Like, yes.
Oh my.
Yes. The firework way of just make it it's exploding. It's a semi-controlled explosion here, folks. It's going to do something.
Yeah, everything's fine. Just going to let it go.
Yeah. Don't concern yourself with this.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's always weird how many different ways there are to make loud noises with bright colors, right? It's kind of weird how just how you do have to applaud the creativity on some level, because you would think there'd be 5 tops. No, that is not true.
That is not how that works. And a few bottle rockets, not too many. Can definitely tell you that the June bug population around the house is not what it used to be. So you can't tape them to them and shoot them off with the. Not that anyone did that, but hypothetically, if you're interested, you could. Don't get the
you would
thrill.
not be able to.
Not be able to. Most definitely. Most definitely. This week we went to celebrate. I was going to make a transition there about America, but we went to a nearby Air Force base by which we live, and they were having a science thing there, a STEM presentation with all this stuff there, and so we do what we normally do. We look at one flyer and go, "Sure, let's go," and we show up and figure out all the details later. But you're driving there, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh yeah, no, this is like an active military base. One of only 3. I'm going to narrow it down here. One of only 3 places where the B-2 bomber is.
Yeah.
and in the world, and one where, and also getting the brand new one, where it's on base now. So you're pulling up, and you're like, oh." This is kind of how's this going to work? Well, let me tell you, lots of checkpoints, lots of ID checking, lots of rolling down windows, having people look in what you were doing, lots of barricades, lots of all this stuff. And we get in, and it's they put us in it's a STEM where they're just showing off part of the military industrial complex, where all of your trillions of dollars go. They want to show off a little bit of that today. So they you walk into this hangar is what it is, and then the entire back doors open up onto the main repair area where they bring in all the airplanes that are on base there. Yeah, and so you just walk out, and it's like this huge open thing with all these displays and stuff inside. Then you can go outside and see the where they do trainings and where they have all this stuff. But they were also setting up for this thing called, I'm just going to say it, Wings Over Whiteman, where they bring in all of these airplanes from around, like all these military planes, both historical and modern, and show them off for things. So they had like I walked out and I saw the a flying fortress way in the distance, and I saw what did they? Oh, what's the what's not? It was before the B2, the B29. It was the B. What was that? Oh no, my brain.
The super fortress, the big one.
Yeah, so we saw the super fortress, the B29, off in the distance, and then we saw a B1. They had the Rockwell B1 Lancer over there. So those are all off in the distance, and of course, I'm like, well, we're going to go see those in a minute, okay?
Obviously.
But then we're just walking around, and the one that we got there right when they opened, because this is what we needed to do, and I'm glad we did, because right when we walked right over, and they had one of those robot dogs from
like the Boston Dynamics ones or whatever.
It's a Boston Dynamics dog that this company, that what happens is this company buys them from Boston Dynamics, specs them out, and then sells those to the military. And
I feel like there's those. I guarantee you, those cost way too much. They put too much markup on that. I can almost promise you that.
No, surely not. I talked to they're out of Philadelphia. I talked to two very nice guys from out of Philadelphia. And these, okay, just so everybody's aware, I'm pretty sure this is public knowledge. But anyway, these these are actively going to be deployed on bases as security.
This is. I played this video game.
I know.
I think I did.
I know. And I'm like, So, I'm like, talk to me about because got very tongue in cheek. Like, come on, like you got to be kidding me. Like, I'm going to ask some questions about this, right? So I'm talking to him like, so what are the, limitations for the environment and stuff? He's like, that's a really good question. So we're working on some more, what do you call it? He said a weatherproofing. And I was like, oh, like body armor. And he's like, well, weatherproofing,
that too.
Shield it from, such and such. And apparently what they have to do in the wintertime, they have to change out the feet to add traction. And so they have to add ice studs. And I went, are you telling me you gave this thing claws? And he was like, ice studs. And I was like, you gave it claws. He was like, well, sure.
Maybe.
But it really
maybe I did.
So and then what they developed is these things, it's like they have these stations that they call them dog houses. And what happens is the thing autonomously approaches, and then it opens up, and the thing can go in, lay down, and then it encloses around it, and it can. That's where it charges. That's where
it's like your Roomba, but like with a taser on its face. Right?
Yes.
Like that's what.
Yes, and can run up to 5 miles an hour.
There you go. Dang. This is yeah, we're
and so I don't know. The kids got to drive it. They have it's just a little iPad with this little thing, and you just go, and they had a perimeter detection thing, so you could be running full force towards something, but because this thing was turned on, you could literally never run into anything.
But like stop it.
Yep. It was creepy.
That's weird.
Oh my gosh. And so we got to drive it, and the guy talked more about it, and I was like, that's really creepy. And he's like, yeah, so we remotely deploy these. So their home base is in Philadelphia, and they can tap remotely in to these things when they're deployed all over the world. But they're actively going to be on military bases as part of security and reconnaissance stuff. So the AI revolution is going great, people.
It's going well. Yeah, it's good. It's one of those things, like there's part of this that is kind of neat, but there's the other part of this just like the worst thing ever, right? Like you said, like, it's kind of... Also, right, this is the other thing that makes me grumpy about this kind of thing, though, right, is that this thing exists, right? These if they have like a whole bunch of these, this is going to use like tremendous amounts of electricity to charge these things. And they're telling me I have to raise my thermostat in the summer because, there's not enough electricity for everyone. You're using them for robot guard dogs. What the heck? What are you
doing? Yes. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, oh, wait, the power grid that can't charge all the electric cars already. You want me to turn down my thermostat?
No.
You want to deploy this thing. Cool.
Yeah. Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, that is nuts. I have definitely played this video game before.
Yeah.
I like the juxtaposition of your child in a pet sitter hat next to a robot dog that does not need pet sitting. That's really kind of hilarious.
Nope. And the guy commented, he goes, "Oh, that's a pretty funny hat." And I said, "Yeah, that's what our business is." And he goes, "Really?" And, so we talked about that for a little bit. And I was like, "So, what we're thinking is," because I said, "So you're running at 5 miles an hour here. How long does that last?" And he's like, "Oh, an hour and a half." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Wow.
So, okay, so I'm being caught. Let's just be honest, people.
Obviously.
But I told him, I said, no, what I'd do is I just have a pre-programmed route where this thing would walk along and make stops at people's houses, and they could just clip the dog onto the body, and it would just go do the route and come drop it off. And he said, it's funny you should say that. Not only are they deploying these on bases, but also because people love Judge Dredd and etc.
They love it. They love it because they're actually living it.
Police forces are buying these to use in juxtaposition with their aerial drones, and so what they are actually having to do is go in and, as part of police dog training, there actually has to go through like this new desensitiz. Well, I can't say that word right now. My brain's so sorry. Holy moly.
Desensitization.
Yeah, desensitization, whatever that word is, to these automatons because they freak out the dogs and they don't like being around them. So like that's a whole new thing that they're layering in as part of this process as they bring them on board. Because they do have to work in tandem, or be at least not be freaked out by them.
They do get freaked out by them, especially when this turns into Liza P. and there's a dog like this, but has a sword on its face, or it's discharging electric shocks at you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I'm telling you, this is about like.
I mean, they're already equipping them with claws. Like, oh no, we've got to include a face shield to protect the camera lens and the thing. Oh, you gave it teeth. Yeah. That's what it sounds like you just did. Cool. That's wonderful. And I'm like how, I mean, that would just be, talk about dystopian, living on a military base. And then every hour walking
already
the perimeter.
Sort of dystopian. Right?
Already dystopian as you drive by and you're like, that thing is so weird. It's so unnerving to drive by and just see everything the way it is. And you're like, it's just pretend. Like it seems something out of, it's Stepford Wives or whatever that thing is called. Oh, right. So, and so just like imagine you're in your backyard grilling along your white picket fence, because they all have picket fences at this one, at least.
It's true.
And then just going along the razor wired fence, double razor wired fence, every now and then is just with this little spinning light as the patrol, as a robot armor dog walks by, making sure that you're safe. Like, what?
Yeah, sounds fun.
It's great. So then we turned and we got to see the military actual drones, the ones that fly over and do the unmanned aircraft hits. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, kids, long story about that one. But anyway,
we'll talk about that later in the ethical dilemmas that causes.
Right. Oh, and the psychotic, the mental breaks that forces people on when they're just sitting there with an Xbox controller, whatever. Mm-hmm. So then we go over and they're showing what fighter pilots have to wear, and they've got this dummy chair they're supposed to sit in. And I was like, the kids sat down in it, and I was like, "This is the most expensive chair in the world." And the pilots laughed, and then they were explaining what happens whenever they eject. And then I said, then it becomes the really most expensive chair in the world. And they were like, yeah, that's anyway, move along. But they had other robotics there. They had Lego robots you could build, and they had all sorts of stuff. But then we went out on the tarmac because that was where the cool stuff was. Because the other thing that the Air Force Base here is well known for is not just the B-2, but the A-10 Warthogs.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Yes. So they have all those lined out. And let me tell you, fewer things are more imposing than walking out and just having 10 of them lined up, like looking directly at you. It's like,
yeah,
that's a lot of fear. And so I see these guys over on to the side working on it. And we walk over there and it's got yellow tape around it. And they're actually, what I can tell from afar, they're working on loading munitions to go under the wing. Okay. And I'm like, oh, cool. Let's go watch this. So we're making a beeline for this. Out of the corner of my eye, again, active military face people, out of the corner of my eye, I see two people in uniform making a very hurried beeline to kind of quasi cut us off. It's because I then realized that oh no, public is over here, and I'm in a bright blue shirt. I don't think we're supposed to be over here, but we kind of stand from a distance, and I turn and I wave to them, and they see the kids, and we're watching there, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's go look at this plane. Look, oh, here's the B-2 Chaser. This is what helps bring it in and land. They have those planes out. They do all the practicing and stuff, so we can see those. And then I look beyond, and I see the Super Fortress, and it's way far away. I see the B-1, and I see an Apache, and I see one of the huge military cargo ships. They've got planes. They got one of those there.
Oh, yeah.
Right, whatever it's called. I start walking over there, and again, we've left the hangar. We're a long ways from the hangar now because we've just been meandering under these big open bays and I'm walking straight towards the B-1, and all of a sudden I hear beep beep, and I turn and look around randomly, and there's just this truck parked in the middle of the runway, pointed right at us, flashing its lights. And I wave, and then I kind of gesture back to where we were where we've been walking, and he flashes his lights again, and I turn and I was like, we're not supposed to go over there yet. Walk back the other way, people.
They put up some sort of barrier.
I know.
Come on, what are you doing?
And I have it on good authority.
Not putting some orange tape up or something. Right. Come on, guys.
Yeah, at least with the active loading of the A-10 Warthogs munitions, they had yellow tape, caution tape up. But no, they didn't want you just wandering around the airshields.
Good grief.
Oh yeah, so we got the horn honked at us, and then that kind of
job, national security threat.
Collin here, blumpering about derp. Oh, but yeah,
a visit from a colonel very soon. Just
I know, I'm waiting for the black vans to pull up and everything.
Oh yeah,
because to get in, you had to show your ID. They had to look in the car to see who was there. To even get, and then once we parked, we had to speak with another checkpoint of officers and military folks, and then we had to walk in, and then to walk into the area where the STEM thing was being put on, they had to do they had arms out, right, and they had to check us, the little wands and the metal detectors and stuff, and have us inspected before we could walk in. It's like, oh yeah, right, yeah, this is kind of a big deal.
Understatement of the year. Kind of a big deal.
Probably shouldn't just wander around.
It's fine.
So I take it. I think I take that as a badge of honor, being that I found the limits of where we weren't supposed to go.
Yeah, beeped at by the.
I did. It was. Oh, anyway, so that was fun. Everybody said that it was great. We got to so that was our recent adventure too. That my only tie in there was the 4th of July freedom military getting beeped at, and I should have been like, I paid for that plane.
Nah. They don't care.
I know they don't. I didn't say that. Well, I was really what really probably would have would have been thrown in jail.
MPs would have come. Yeah.
Is when
they would have turned on the robot dogs.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And just be like, run.
I looked up and I was surrounded by robot dogs circling me. A pack of wolves.
No, those the B2 chase. So what they have at this air base is these big open canopies where they can pull planes in so that they're covered from the elements from above and people can work on them. And they're out. They're not in the hangars. They're out more on the runway. And there's just rows and rows and rows. And that's where all these planes were on display. And let me tell you, when I walked by the B-2 chaser planes and they had the step side ladders going into the cockpit. And I turned,
not for you though.
Not for me. But I turned to Megan and I said, I bet the kids would love to be in there. She said, Collin, no, we are not doing
You've already
that.
been beeped at once. We're not going to do it again.
Well, this was actually on my way out to be beeped at. So when we came back, I was already trying to figure out how, but I just talk about tempting. It's just sitting there. I'm sure I don't think the keys were in it, but
you were already on the radar at this moment.
I was
watching you.
Oh, they were definitely watching. Like this guy he lingered a little bit too long by that ladder. He's
probably a communist. We're gonna get him.
So that's how it is. It's one of those guys. Yeah, I'm out there just using my family as cover for me to
cover right. The ghost of Joseph McCarthy's like, there he is. Get him. Like,
finally, yeah. This is. Oh, you know what? That's what they do. This is a honeypot. That they only put these on to draw out the dumb spies.
Dang it!
Just figured it out. This isn't the STEM program at all. This is they.
Oh yeah,
they're trying to.
Oh man, yep, that's got to be it. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah. So I was just making so many people nervous out there. First, as I'm walking towards the A10, and then I'm lingering by the ladder, and then walking towards the one. Like they just so many red lights were flashing, phone calls being made. I'm sure while I was wandering around.
Well, I've done nothing that exciting, nothing to potentially compromise national security or.
What have you been doing?
Get beeped at by a base commander, right? I did not get beeped at by a golf cart with a colonel in it, right? That did not happen. But I just got.
Yeah, golf cart with a colonel.
I do have for you a brief. I will be very brief here. The brief review of Shark Week 2024 so far. Right?
Oh,
there
right.
You go.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I'm imagining this year's very early, right? Probably because the Olympics are happening and they don't want Shark Week to run congruently with the Olympics. I would imagine that would probably be the case, right? But
they know what would happen to the ratings of the Olympics.
Yeah, nobody's watching that much track and field anyway, and so like they're gonna watch sharks instead, right? So that's gonna happen. That's what you get, NBC, for being bad at sports. Okay, Anyway, so brief review of the week so far. Right, I didn't get to watch last night, so we'll save that for part 2 potentially. But first of all, host John Cena. Right?
Oh.
It's weird to have a host that you can't look at. It's weird.
Oh.
The joke is never not funny.
No.
But it's weird. Number one, not really a great interviewer, John Cena. Right?
I wouldn't imagine that's really in his skill set.
It's really awkward seeing him. I don't really think he's that great of like an actor. Anyway, I haven't actually seen him act in very many things because it's John Cena. I don't really care. But like when there's no like professional wrestler John Cena in front of you, he's really not particularly interesting. Right? Like it's kind of like, nah, it's whatever. It's also weird that because he's not wrestling anymore, he's like shrinking. Right?
Oh,
because he's not like working out like all the time and all this stuff, right? He's and so like he's just smaller. So it looks weird because the only context I'm used to seeing him in is wrestling and being like super jacked, right?
Yeah. So now
And so
he's
the
like
fact that he's like
devolving.
he's still muscly, right? But he's not like swollen muscly, right?
Sure.
Like he's not just like, and so he's like trimming down. He just looks strange, right?
Mm.
He looks weird. And also, yesterday he was doing something and he like made some sort of joke and did something weird with his face. And I realized that slimming down John Cena looks an awful lot like Jim Varney. And now I can't unsee it. Know what I mean, Vern?
Oh,
right? It's like
no.
he does. He does. Look at him.
No.
I think they both have very wide mouths. I think that's what it is, right? I think that's what it is. But like,
he looks.
No.
Okay, so I went to Google. Oh, you're not. Hand on heart. Hand on heart. I typed in Jim Varney, and the first hit is John Cena. The first hit is.
See, I'm not the only one.
Oh no. What? Yeah. Well, these people are saying that John Cena looks like a jacked Jim Varney.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never noticed before until he like starts slimming down. Because Ernest P. Warhol's pretty slim guy, But like, yeah. Look at that. Look at this. This is very.
Oh, there are whole articles on this. You've hit on something. Oh, yeah. Look, are John Cena and Jim Varney related? Huh. Find out if they're related. I think they are, but that's very. This is weird. That you're right. They look.
Yeah, it's very strange. Hey. Right. It's very distressing. Anyway, now that that's out there.
Okay. Sure.
Just know that I've been staring at that going, he looks like Jim Varney.
Yeah. What a wonderful thing to have in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So
not distracting at all.
Yeah. It's weird. So anyway, right. We have some like we have a broad variety of success here when it comes to Shark Week 2024, right? It's kind of wonky, right? Like night one, kind of bad. Not gonna lie, right? You have the belly of the beast, bigger and bloodier, right? Apparently, these people decided, what's an interesting way to study sharks feeding? Whale carcasses, right? Finding a whale carcass, difficult. So what if we build a giant fake whale carcass? Yes, complete with like that you can climb in and there's like an observation portal inside and you can just be in there while sharks are trying to eat it. That's the plan. That's kind of right.
This weirdly. So this reminds me of I read about people were trying to study these what are they, these blood-sucking eels, and they were trying to understand like how they did it and how it was impact on how they engorged and stuff like that, but they couldn't get approval to attach these to live fish, so they just filled hot dog casings with blood and stuck these in tanks with those things and had them sent off with it. So I'm jiving with this. It's just on a whole nother level of like,
it's a similar idea, but like bigger, like 20 foot, 29, 30 foot whale, right? This is what we're dealing with.
Whoa.
So it's kind of weird, right? And they're talking about like looking for like they were looking for like big female sharks. I think that was the show. One of these shows was doing that. I don't think it was this one. I think it was a different one. More on that later because that was the worst one. Oh no, that was a different one. All right. Anyway, so that was kind of it. Just studying that and that kind of stuff. So it was all right. Whatever. Then the next one was something about Makozilla. It was just like looking for like giant Mako sharks off the coast of California. Okay, that was kind of neat. That was a pretty good one. There was one called Jaws versus Leviathan. This was quite possibly the lamest one ever, right? It was basically talking about like you know how like shark, like killer whales and stuff like attack great white sharks now. They were like, what would the battle have been like 60 million years ago when there was bigger sharks and bigger whales too? Like, and it was just like a really arbitrary ranking system of like how fast they think a giant ancient whale would be, and like how fast a shark is, and like the bite force of a maybe giant ancient whale. It was very not good, right? And they were like, they kept talking about these things, and they kept saying these things about like how they would say like how the whale is related to the orca and the like sperm whale, and then they never mentioned the sperm whale again, which is kind of weird because if you're like, would a giant whale eat a shark like that? You're like, do sperm whales eat sharks? No. There you go. There's your answer. Ta-da!
It's not very exciting though.
Not very exciting. That one was not very great, right? So that one was not wonderful. That was fine. I think maybe it was this one. One of these shows. No, maybe it was the first one. So the first one, I can't remember. Anyway, I don't remember which one it is. I'm gonna get this out of my chest now though, because this is the most annoying thing in the whole world. They were talking about big female sharks, right? And they just like came up with like an arbitrary word to describe a dominant large female shark. And they just kept saying the word over and over and over again, like it had any sort of scientific meaning whatsoever.
Oh no.
And they were like, is this the queen boss shark? You're like, what? I need you to stop saying that. Because any interesting points that you might be making are undermined by this terrible vocabulary that you are deploying upon my ears. Right. It reminded me, awkwardly, of Mean Girls. Right. They were desperately trying to make fetch happen.
Indeed.
And fetch is just never going to happen, guys. I don't know how to tell you this.
No.
But you can't just. I told Susan that, and she about fell off the couch laughing at me. That's
good response.
But yes,
yeah.
No doing that. So that was a major annoyance that has just bothered me the whole week so far. Is just that show talking about the queen boss shark. That's not a real thing. You can't just like say things and like make them actually mean something on a scientific level. That's not how this works. Stop it. The first actual good show was the Sydney Harbor Shark Invasion show. It was actually very good because not only was it your boy Paul DeGelder, a man who was being a naval diver in Sydney Harbor and got his arm and leg bit off by a bull shark.
Yep.
in 2009. It was him hosting the show, going back to Sydney Harbor and investigating the different sharks that are coming around and the increased shark activity around Sydney. Right. So that was neat. And they did like, number one, as a person who has been to Sydney, Australia, slightly biased in that the show was cool, right? But they did a lot of like actual shark science in this one. And they like did cool stuff with the underwater cameras and like shark tag fences, monitoring different species of sharks inside and outside the harbor and seeing how much crossover there is there, and like monitoring other things like increased other fish presence because of the conservation that's being done around Sydney and Australia in general, and the fact that the harbor is a much cleaner, less polluted place than it was, is also making the habitat just better for all things. And so obviously sharks are there too, right? So that was a good show. That was good.
I will say, Paul DeGelder needs to switch his web host because apparently the traffic driven from the Shark Week has crashed his website. Still,
Probably.
Bandwidth limit exceeded. So 509 error. Just Paul, contact whoever you're using to host this. Just FYI.
Yeah, probably need to up that a little bit, right? Because I don't know how often his website is hit during the rest of the year.
Yeah,
this week Shark Week, he's been on like 5 shows, so maybe that could be part of it. Next up, we had, this one was terrible. The Big Shark Energy. This was the worst one, maybe ever. It's terrible. It was talking about, okay, so this one was bad because they were spent the whole time talking about which shark would be the alpha shark in a pack of male sharks. But that's not how sharks work.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. It was really dumb. It was really bad because, like, first of all, as we know, as more people should be aware, this is why science literacy is important. The whole like alpha thing is not, it's fake news. Okay. I don't know how to tell you this, but there's no such thing as alphas. The study done on wolves about that turns out was a bad study and it's false. And so that's not how wolves work either. Yeah. And so
it's not what the except those alphas around the gym 5 a.m. Pretty.
So all of those weird alpha male bros on TikTok, they're also lying to you and just trying to get money from you. I don't know if you know this, internet, but those people are fools.
They'd never do.
Somebody just hurt their feelings once, and they never emotionally recovered from that.
Probably
a girl
more
dumped
than
them.
once.
Yeah, a girl dumped them when they were in high school one time, and now they're sad boys, but they're pretending they're not sad boys. Anyway, so applying this concept to a shark, a non-pack animal, is a weird thing for actual biologists to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, can you find sharks together? Yes. Can sharks work together to achieve a common goal, i.e., eat something? Yes. Does that make them a pack-oriented species? No. There's a big difference between being a pack animal and being able to work with somebody else to eat something.
Yes.
Right. And this was a delineation not made in the show. All of their tests were completely arbitrary and mean nothing. And in my opinion, as a non-marine biologist, this is a bad show. Don't. The other one was it was also in the same vein, the Shark Frenzy mating games. Lame. That one's pretty self-explanatory. The Great White Serial Killer. That one was kind of interesting. It was about like, again, this was a Paul de Gelder show. I think the ones that have been good have had Paul in them. How it works. It's just about the increased amount of shark attacks off of the coast of Mexico, and they were monitoring shark populations, and they were helping to introduce the divers, the urchin and mollusk divers there to like these little miniature portable shark cages that people started using in New Zealand. So they like, because that's where the attacks are happening. These guys that are free diving down and harvesting stuff off the seafloor, they're getting attacked by sharks because, they're down there, they're not paying attention, they're working on their thing, fishing, and then all of a sudden a giant shark comes behind them and goes, "Ooh, that looks good."
Yeah.
And so they were trying to test out and like make a reproducible like miniature shark cage that you can like sink down and like you can be in while you work and like store your stuff in and like move it along and help the fishermen. So that was actually, look at that. That's a useful show. Good job.
Hey, look, helping other people.
Yes. The next one was the classic deadliest bite. They're just measuring different shark bites and stuff from different sharks. Again, your boy Paul was back again.
Nice.
The real star of the Shark Week. And they did it with they did the old bite meter, and then they did like cool slow motion 4K camera thing. So that was just neat, right?
Never not cool.
Never not cool, right? 6,000-pound shark. Kind of, it was fine. It's a mid show, right? It was just talking about shark biology and what are the actual upper bounds of great white shark, right? Because there have been reports of like massive sharks in the past, like they've been either hunted or whatever, and they were like really, really big. And so they were just sort of speculating on how big can a shark get? How would you know? And like what conditions and stuff does it need to get there? And then some cool stuff with like the liver. They were talking about how the shark liver works. So that was all right. That was kind of monster hammerheads. Obviously, this one's great. They're talking about hammerhead populations in the Bahamas and Florida, and are they related? Are they developing into a subspecies or not? Spoilers, no. But still interesting. They did genetic testing on because they have some slight morphological differences, right? But it's like their DNA and everything else is like it's not different enough to be classified as a subspecies yet. Dun dun dun.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Great White North, right? First time appearing, your boy of Shark Week's past, Andy Casagrande, right? The shark filmmaker extraordinaire. This one was actually really cool. This is about the great white shark population in the Atlantic being more northern than has previously been seen in an extremely long amount of time, right? So people have been seeing sharks in like Nova Scotia.
Whoa.
Which, yeah, that was their thought. They were going, like fishermen in Nova Scotia were like, what are you doing here?
Hello.
That was cool because it was basically they're kind of postulating like they found at least one shark there that had been tagged off of the coast of Massachusetts. So it appears to be just like the extending of shark migration as the population increases, potentially back to like older numbers, because the sharks in the Atlantic Ocean were hunted like mercilessly. And so as the populations increase, the range of the shark is also extending. So they're seeing how far that's going. That was a good one. A random crossover event on Wednesday, the Expedition Unknown, Sharks versus Nazis in Paradise. Okay, this one, the title's weird. But so they were talking about Nazi U-boats in the Gulf of Mexico in World War II, right?
Okay, tracking with you so far.
Yeah, and so there are some ships that the Nazis sank that they don't know where they are, and one of them is a fuel tanker ship, and all the fuel is still in it. And so they're trying to find out where it is before it rusts through and all of that oil and diesel just like dumps into the Gulf because it's in the wreck.
Oh,
so
sure.
That's bad. So they don't know where it is. And so their hypothesis they were working with is we're going to go to a wreck where we know it is, and we're going to tag some sharks there and put like cameras and tracking stuff on them, because you know where else sharks go? Other wrecks, because they're like reefs in the Gulf, right? And other fish are there. So maybe these sharks are going to other places that are shipwrecks that we don't know where they are.
Oh, tricksy.
Which is like, it sounds insane.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it should not work. And it like kind of worked, right?
Really?
They did find a shipwreck. It wasn't the one they were looking for.
Well,
but it was another one that they didn't know was there.
See, that's a thing. If you didn't know, that's a win.
Yeah. So it wasn't the boat they're looking for. But they did find another boat. Because they put the GPS thing on the shark and they saw that it swam like way over here and then just like circled one place for a real long time before it left. And they were like, that's probably
what
a reef of some kind.
Just went over here.
Yeah, because that's what they do at reef locations and shipwrecks. And so they went over there and dove. They're like, "Yep, there's a boat here."
Turns out, that's cool. Okay, I like
shark archaeology. Yeah,
yes. Shark and then sharkology.
Sharkeology.
Boom.
Got him. That was a good one. Sorry, I lost my thing scrolled and I forgot where I was out of my thing. Only a couple more left here. The Alien Sharks Ghosts of Japan, right? That's your boy, Forrest Gallant, right? The guy, the wildlife biologist who looks for extinct or critically endangered animals, going to Japan and looking for the angel shark, one of the most rare sharks of Japan, because it was just caught up in a lot of like long line fishing and stuff, and so it's very endangered. So that one was really cool. Lots of like, I like that one because there was lots of just like other random sharks, not just your classic like great white, tiger, hammerhead, whatever.
Sure.
And then the last two that I watched so far are the three. There's one, it was just like the When Sharks Attack show. You have to have that in Shark Week, I think. That was kind of boring though. But it was just like people's GoPros or camera footage of sharks biting people. There was one about like monsters, like monster sharks of Oz. It was about like that. They're exploring South Australia because of that one mako shark that guy was like reeling in, and it like came up and it was just the head and the rest of the shark had been bitten off.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, what do you think that could be?
Yeah. What did that? They
don't know.
They don't.
Spoilers, they still don't know.
Oh, well,
really no conclusive evidence. Could be another like the aforementioned like really really giant great white shark. They get real big. Could be that. Could be, they don't know. That was it basically. And then the killer whales that are actually killing the sharks, and so they're not in a lot of the places where they traditionally have been, but they found them in a different random spot. So that was kind of neat.
Really?
They were just looking for places where sharks were. Yeah, they're not in like, they were not in what like some of the, these ones were not in like a bay where the fur seals are. They were like out in slightly deeper water on like a reef that had like lots of tuna and stuff on it. They were there instead because I guess, too many orcas over there eating sharks. They're like, nah, bro, we're out. We're going over here. Bam. Yeah. There you go. That is the recap of Shark Week so far. I didn't watch any last night because I had to go. We were at Susan's mom's house. But there you go. That's the basic short. There's a few more. We'll give you the tune in for part 2 next time.
Part 2.
Okay. The very brief rundown of Shark Week 2024. The hits and misses, the pretty goods and the very low lows.
I like it very much.
So yeah, that's been my week pretty much. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, and just as a quick aside to that, I mean, it's very exciting. And then now you've been rolling through the Tour de France, everything with your boy Pogacar.
I have actually not watched any Tour de France because I can't. So I've been I haven't watched anything about it. So
I've just been getting updates online and seeing recaps because anyway.
I don't really know. I've been avoiding it in protests, but I did. Of course, I had to see some headline somewhere that my nemesis, my least favorite person in the history of the universe, is now the winningest cyclist in the history of the Tour de France. He's the greatest bicycle racer that's ever lived. Long live Mark Cavendish. He's just such a beautiful. I hate that man so much. Hopefully now he'll retire and I never have to see his ugly, smug British face ever again. But of course I will have to all the time. They'll just replay it forever in perpetuity. Oh my gosh, he's greater than Eddie Merckx. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's not. He's terrible.
Well,
and stop.
And what's going to happen is that as people get close to it, then they're going to wheel him back out and they're going to have all those conversations about it and it will never die. Right? It'll just be a perpetual topic.
We're going to talk about him forever. Right? Because that's how it works.
And because he's just so amazing, nobody could ever possibly get close to beating it. So it'll just be always there.
I mean, they probably won't either. That's another annoying part, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing that will never happen. And so he'll just be there forever, looking smug, being terrible,
and annoying you.
Like, I don't know, and annoying me for all of eternity, right? I don't really know. Yeah, that's all I know about Tour de France. I saw that one headline. I was like, oh my gosh. I would have not watched the rest of that stage. He would have been up there. I would just like turn it off. Like,
no,
go away. Like, Man is my nemesis. Like, I just don't.
He gives you purpose. That helps.
Nemesis. That's what he is. Yes, the depths of my loathing for Mark Cavendish. No bounds.
We'll see. This is still fresh, right?
That's true. They could go lower. That's what I'm saying. Could be more depth, many more fathoms, right? Like,
Eeks. That's what you get.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of fathoms, right?
Yep.
If you were to mark 2 fathoms, you would, of course, have to mark Twain. And so that brings us today. Oh, got him. That brings us today.
Let's go away now. Anyway, it's great.
You will like that segue, and you know it. That's what.
Fine. Oh, it hurts. Yes. So we start a new chapter with the Twain here.
Yeah. What was that? 13?
13? 14?
13.
13?
It was 13.
13.
Right? Was it 13, 14? 15?
Yes. 13, 14. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I didn't know.
Yep.
These ones are kind of weird overall. They're kind of just like, I don't know. I don't really know about how I felt about these chapters in particular. Some of it just kind of felt fillery, especially 13, right? This chapter goes off the rails quickly. And I kind of lost, like, who is he talking to? Is this all internal monologue? Is he saying this out loud to these poor people? They have no idea what he's rambling about. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's kind of. I don't know if that's intentional here. Of like, there's a lot of confusion going on in this, and I kind of like the idea that there is some. It's not all internal monologue to show that it's kind of like, yeah, it's really like. Because there is so much that's going on in this chapter with him, like with all the stuff in the background and the stuff that he's teaching and the schools and like it's just a little I just feel like there's a lot more here.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, there's a lot. So I don't know really, but yeah, he's still on his way to this castle he's going to with the lady, right? And he's like really hungry. Because he's comment. I think these next 3 chapters basically are a continuing commentary on like how dumb I think Mark Twain thinks these stories of traveling knights are.
Mm-hmm.
Because he makes a lot of reference to like, I'm just traveling around in a suit of armor with no luggage and no food.
Yes,
this is dumb. Like I don't. Like he's mocking the idea of like the questing knight, right? He thinks it's dumb, right? He thinks this is the most idiotic thing ever. That like why would you do this? Why is this a good idea? Setting off alone in your armor, traveling across the land with no food or water or bare clothes or tent, right? Like what are you doing?
Getting back to earlier, whenever they had all those tall tales and stuff that Hank would say, well, that's obviously a lie, right? Like that's obviously fake. You didn't actually do that. Kind of pulling that back into here of like, this is just how did anybody think that this was an actual story that he?
Yeah, this is not logistically possible, right?
Yes.
He's kind of like banging on about the logistics of the whole matter because Hank is like the ultimate pragmatist, right? He's like an inventor and a designer and like a this kind of guy, like laborer, and he's like really clever and all this stuff. Like he's looking at this idea going like, this is not possible. How? No. But in this chapter, he goes on and on and on and on and on about
so much. Yeah. Again, how he's not happy to be here. And yeah, I think it is just a frustration of pointing back to his feelings towards everybody who he's encountered so far as well. Of everybody's dumb, nobody's bright. This is all stupid. Like, what is even going on?
Yeah, and I think that comes like they get to that really quickly when it's like time to stop and like go to bed, and he's like, well, I can't undress in front of this lady, and I also can't undress myself because I'm wearing this armor, and that means I have to sleep in this armor.
Uh-huh.
Raining and all. This has now become a home for the bugs because it's drier in there, and so now my armor is infested with bugs.
Yes.
And now I can't sleep because I'm a bug hotel. Like I can't. So he's very, very cross about this whole thing, right? Now he wakes up. He's really sleepy. He's starving, and he doesn't have any food because, he doesn't have any pockets in his armor. Of course,
no, of course not.
And so he makes a comment here about how these Britons were used to long fasts and knew how to bear them too, and also how to freight up against probable fasts before starting in the style of the Indian and the anaconda. As like as not, Sandy was loaded for a 3-day stretch. So he's like, how do they do this? How do they do all this stuff without eating ever? Why?
And because he's limping along behind because he's just bedraggled and he's frustrated with how this is going.
Yeah, he's like, I let her ride my horse mostly because I couldn't get back on the horse myself.
Right.
Then he sees he espies some people there, and he's like, oh, I would love to eat breakfast with you. And they're so like taken aback that a knight such as him would want to dine with them, that they're like, oh yes, please. And he's like, yeah. And then the girl's like, no, you should do it. He's like, shush, you be quiet.
Yeah. Put up her scornful lip, right? Yes. Oh.
And then he really, now he goes off the rails and he's talking about like the free man and how they're not really free because of the economics of the situation. The wages for their toil are not worth their actual time. He's very, 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 very heavy with the econ here. Like, and again, I don't know who he's talking to, but he is. A lot of these lines are in quotes, so he is talking to somebody at some point.
Yes,
right. And so he's talking about the loyalty and about how the working man is not inferior to that of the ruling man, right? The ruling man only rules because of the work of the working man, right? It's very, very heavy stuff here, right? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, he's giving examples of like, they were not allowed to keep doves themselves. Yet when swarms from my lord's dovecote settled on their crops, they must not lose their temper and kill a bird. But so basically, again, saying like you can't do this thing, but other people can, and their right to have doves impacts your ability to earn a living, but you can't have the dove. That's right for somebody else. Like he's really placing this of how they're positioned in this society.
Yeah. And he's kind of talking here about, he's sort of talking around the idea, but like when you're talking about like equality and like equal rights and stuff like that, his point here, when a lot of these things are like, just because you are equal does not mean there's less equality for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in the feudal system, he views like, oh, well, if you are free and equal, that means there's less freedom for like the king. That's what the kings say. And that he's like, that is baloney. That is not true. My book here has this lovely political cartoon of a balanced scale. And on one side is like the poor man. And on the other side is the wealthy king person. And the wealthy king is like lower down because he's worth more. He's got more weight. right? So he's worth more. The ruling class is better, worth more than the working man, right? This is a very, again, 1880s thing that was happening, right? And so it's very prominent here. Again, this is another thing where you look at 2024 and you go, oh dang it. I don't know.
We've solved everything. This is
oh no.
so cute that this
no. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you have all these people that are like fans of people like Elon Musk and they're like, oh, he's just better than you. And like he's not. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that doesn't mean like what? So yeah, that's kind of the crux of this whole chapter, right? He's very against this idea of people of higher office or people of higher wealth being more worth more than a working class man, right? That's the big thing he's talking about here, right? Yeah. And he recruits at least one of these people to go back to his quote man factory, which is, I think he needs to work on the name. Right. Yeah. He needs to work.
yeah. Market. Yeah. There's a little bit of a branding problem here.
Yeah. But to go back and to learn this stuff, right? He sends him to Clarence. Go see my boy Clarence, and he'll get you hooked up, right? Get you hooked up there. So he's recruiting this guy. He's freeing. He's making this free man actually free by giving him the ability to like read and write and think for himself and improve his worth in his own eyes or something. So that's that one. Any more thoughts on that chapter? You get there?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Where he's really seeing it basically as his. He's trying to bring this idea of freedom that at the individual level to a society that just doesn't honor that, doesn't value that.
Yeah,
right. So it's
well said.
It's this weird. I'm again very interesting how he's this quote unquote modern sensibility of like, yeah, this individualistic freedom and blah blah blah, but it's like that's not what the society was set up to do, or that's not valued, that's not seen as important in this where they are. So it's how he juxtaposes those two things, going, yeah, I don't know, it's he's trying to bring this way of talking and this way of bringing people together, and I just I wonder how far that's going to go with this.
Yeah, we'll see. It's probably going to come back. It's already come up like 4 times, so it's probably going to come back again.
Surely nothing at all
at some point, right? But in the next chapter, we do progress the journey slightly, right? We have Paige for breakfast, right? And we're on the go, and he's this is like so weird, right? He's let's see. He is going on his thing, right? He's getting ready to go. He's talking about minting and money and all this stuff, right? And then, right, he comes across some other people, right? But he like really, really wants to smoke his pipe, right? That's the crux of this chapter. He goes on, talks some stuff, and he's on his journey. He's going on a thing, and he wants to smoke his pipe, and he gets it out of his helmet where he's been keeping it, right? And he puts whatever is in there, which is not tobacco, because that is a New World crop and not available in England. And like everybody runs away from it.
Yes. Indeed.
And they're afraid. The lady is afraid. What the heck is going on? But they all run away from him.
Yeah, they came in a body, they came in a word, they rushed, they came in a volley from battery. Like, yeah, there are. Yeah, is that wait? Was that? Did I skip ahead? Yeah, she runs away. She runs away after after he lit it. Yeah. And
then so like he's going on this thing, and he is confronted with some other knights. They like stop in the road, right? And they're like coming towards him, and so he lights it again, and they like stop and won't come any closer.
200 or 300 yards away.
Yeah. And he says in order to placate the other people and the lady, that Sandy, that he's like, only those who are, have malicious intent against me shall be harmed by my smoke and my peril, right? Yeah, and he like makes them walk in front of him, and he's like, see, you bear me no ill will, you're fine, right? That's how he gets her to convince to come back with him, right? But as he's going along, these other group of people see him and they stop, and she's like, oh yeah, no worries, like I'll help you light your pipe, and they'll be struck down because they clearly wish you ill intent. And he's like, or we could go around.
Yes. I love that. It's like, no. Wait a minute.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, that another backfire, right? Another unintentional backfire from Hank here. He's like, oh yeah, only villains will be struck down by my magic. And she's like, oh no, they're villains, don't worry, they'll be struck down. He's like, or we could go around them.
We could do the other thing. Yes. Yeah. Well, again, this you could see. Well, if you've got that, like, why would we, not use it? Why wouldn't we? That would be great.
Yeah. And so he like, it comes to pass that she basically says, no, I'll go and I'll tell them, and then I'll negotiate their surrender.
Yes.
And so she gets off. She goes over there. She tells him what's up, and they just all agree to surrender to him. And then he tells them where to go, and they go to Camelot and wait for him to come back. Which is so weird. And then, so this chapter, it's very interesting because, like, this chapter, we see that, like, she has this initiative and she does this thing, and he's like, she's great. Look at this. He says how much better she managed that thing than I should have done it myself. She was a daisy.
A daisy. Right? Indeed.
So that's what we in this chapter is. She has like bargained him out of being assailed by many knights. And so he's like, she's great. She's just the best. La la la. And then we go to the next chapter. And now he doesn't like her again.
Yep. How quickly the timetables have turned.
Yeah. It's like, well, he starts off, well, and now I am the proprietor of some knights, said I as I rode off. Who would have guessed? Who knew that was a thing I would have? And then he like starts talking to her. This chapter is really hard to read, right? In my opinion, because he asks her something and then immediately goes, oh no, I shouldn't have asked her that, because she like just launches into this tale, right? And so in this chapter 15, you have like you're alternating the whole time reading between like her soliloquy here and his internal monologue with slight interruptions, where he's trying to steer the conversation somewhere else and desperately having none of it. Right? He's trying to get the conversation off somewhere else, and it's not happening.
I love it because he starts off. He said, "You see, I had recognized my mistake at once. I had set her works a going. It was my own fault. She would be 30 days getting down to those facts."
Yeah, and her style of storytelling is very much like earlier when we had when he was talking about, he trained the monk guy as the reporter, and we read that very long thing about what had happened at the tournament, and it was just like, so and so smote so and so, and then so and so smote other guy, and then other guy smote this person, and that's her manner of storytelling, right? She's just like reciting this whole thing to get to whatever he asked her. She like goes off on this big thing to get there, and he's like, oh
yeah. He asked her, she asked him, where do they live? That's what he asked. Yes, where do these live? And she starts going down this. It reminds me
like the whole history of the thing, right?
It reminds me of the the internet recipe guides where you're like, how do you make pasta?
Yeah.
And it's like, I was in a villa in Santorini one time with my grandma. And you're like, no.
Yeah. Like, you're looking for like easy homemade bread. And it's like, when I was a young girl at my grandma's house in the summer, like, oh, I don't know.
Time for this.
And you just scroll down and it's like, just keeps going. And it keeps going. Right. You scroll down. Like if this was a Word document, you're on page like 7 and there's still no ingredients anywhere. And you're like,
and the scroll bar is really tiny.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's like this is kind of like modern internet articles, right? Which I'm convinced that more than half of the articles I read on the internet are AI generated, right? Because they like just go on and on without saying anything. They're like so clickbaity. There's like one of the great things, and then they just go on and like, I just need the thing. I need the bride. And it's at the very bottom, right? It's like so that's pretty much this whole chapter. It's kind of a filler chapter, it feels like, because we don't really learn anything. She doesn't really tell us anything.
No.
Or if she does, I didn't really get it either. Like Hank, I'm just Hank going, what is happening?
What? Really? But I think it's yet so many things from this. Like you can extrapolate. Yes, sure. Like good storytellers, bad storytellers, but also again, just how out of place Hank is. And he's got all these grand ambitions to do these things and to get these things in motion and to revolutionize the city and the country and get these people to do the thing. But there's so much to get through, right? Like he's telling and speaking in a very modern way to people who that way of speaking and understanding and storytelling is, hundreds of years removed from being invented. And so it's just how, again, these two completely separate worlds of operating. And where he is.
How he's a very like get to the point. I need to know the crux of information immediately, and that's not how information is delivered in this world, right? Where she inhabits, like you need to know the whole history of the thing before you know the thing, right? Like, and then he's just going, tell me the thing I need to know. Again, the food blog is the ultimate analogy here. Like,
just yeah, and I mean, so much so that he falls asleep, right? He said, "I lost the thread there and dozed off to slumber, thinking what a pity it was." Right?
Yeah, he just falls asleep, right? And it, like on the last page, he's just like, or second last page, he's like, he's like, oh yeah, my interest was gone, my thoughts were far away and sad. Like this is
and sad. Yes,
it sums up his whole idea, and this takes like all day. Like she takes all day to do this, right? Because by the end of the chapter, it's nighttime and the sun is now setting, right? And she'd started at about 3 p.m. and the sun was now setting. That's how long we've been going here. So
yes, it's just yet again.
And the best part though is at the very end, right? He asked her one question. She told him all of that information. At the very end here, they're going by this other castle, and he was like, "Well, who lives there?" And she goes, "I don't know."
Yeah. She did not know, and she had passed it without calling. So again, this I'm like, well, sure, like she's not interested in the castle, so she has nothing to say about the castle, and she's not really interested in that, but she really wants to tell you this big long story and soliloquy about all of this history and whatever.
But all this other stuff, right? Like,
oh.
It's great.
So it's these chapters have been weird because while there is some story progression, like there's not a whole lot of it, but there is a lot of just like Hank in this weird situation, or Hank learning this lesson, or Hank doing this thing. So I don't know. It's
but I find it odd how certain chapters have almost no story progression, and then in this chapter he just moans about how her story has no progression. Like,
yeah,
wait a minute, Hold on. What is the meta narrative going on here?
Oh, no.
What are you doing, Twain? What's happening?
Dun, dun, dun. Figured it out.
Figured something out. It's good.
So I am still enjoying this rather much. So,
oh yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
But just every once in a while, there's chapters where he just starts rambling. He's like, "Oh no,
wait,
hold on, let's go."
It's not. Wait, back up. Stop.
Yeah, but I am still curious to see like where is this going?
What's the
Because basically at this point I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to have any predictions right now. But yeah, like where are we going with this? Surely we're gonna get somewhere. There's got to be some hotting up at some point in here, right? So we'll see.
I have a feeling that once he starts interacting with more of the structure of the civilization, that when things where the gears will really grind. I
think so.
Because right now he's just kind of off doing his own thing, right? Like he really is. He hasn't interacted with, because he's been outside the king's court. He's been outside any royalty or any other knights or any other things. He's just been out kind of running things. So I have a feeling as soon as he starts interacting with more important people, I don't know.
And maybe wherever he gets to wherever he's going now too. I think because he's on his way to do that. Right. Yes. He's on his way to encounter more people.
Indeed.
Right, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yes.
The next chapter is called Morgan Le Fay. As we know from Arthurian legend, is quite an important person.
So maybe we're gonna get our wish.
Mayhaps.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. Also, my other one connection in this chapter is she at some point says lack a day, and I was like, "Oh, that's very Redwall of you to say that out loud right now."
Very Redwall.
That was my first thought immediately.
It is.
I was like, everyone in Redwall Abbey says that. That's what.
That's their catchphrase. We're reading Martin the Warrior right now with the kids, and
that's a good one.
It's a great one, except one of the main characters is in fact a mole, and so I have to.
You get to say.
I have to say, "Brr, moyor," and it's like, God, I can't do this.
Oh yeah, you do have to mole speak at him, right? That's okay.
Miss Rosie's, Marthin, moyer. Like, that's all I've been doing the past 2 weeks. Just. Waiting for the one without a mole. It's without a main character.
I don't think they're always in there somewhere.
I don't mind the supporting cast, but whenever it's like on every page, I'm like, oh,
it's like one of their best friends though in that one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's Grum. Yeah. Grum's like Grum and Rose. Yeah. They're just besties. Yeah. Just again, that's fine, but it means That's what I have to do. So. Well, I do have a haiku this week. Do you want to do your quote first, or
I lost it?
Oh no.
Oh yes, hold on. I think I saved. Where did I save it? Did I save it? Oh no. Oh no. Did I? Oh dear. Hold on. I'll just find it again.
Okay.
Holding on. Anyway, I'm glad that you still have not mastered mole speech, though. That's very.
No, I think the moment I do that, things have gone very, very wrong.
It'd be great. Where am I? I lost my quote there.
Oh.
Aha. Aha.
Ready.
Here you go. Mark Twain quote. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer up somebody else.
Oh,
boom. There you go.
Look at that.
There you go. Try to bring some more positivity this week.
It's great.
A little down on Shark Week. A little down on Twain's hitting some heavy stuff. So going for that one. That's the one for this week.
Love it. Hey.
Right, thank you.
Okay. And I love it. Yeah. Positivity is always good. And I'll end here with a haiku from topic from last week. Ancient worlds revealed through misty paths, secrets call, silent game of lore.
Oh, nice. The pages.
Yes.
Must find the pages.
Pages.
Very nice. That's a good one.
Thanks. I was trying to figure out how do I make it more apparent without using the name, but then I was like, oh, well.
I was good. It was good. I like it.
Well, stay cool this week.
Give it a shot.
We'll do 3 more chapters for the book, and we'll keep chugging along through.
Okay.
That's good. Love you.
Sounds good. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.